English spelling sucks. We all know this already. It's inconsistent, it's unpredictable, at times it's ugly, at others it's just ridiculous. This has led a lot of people to the conclusion that what English needs is a spelling reform, where we, by some means, adapt or, in some cases, completely overhaul the current English spelling system. I'm sure we've all heard someone loudly telling us about how much better English orthography would be if everyone started spelling things their way, suggesting massive changes. Most of these ideas are incredibly bad in very easily measurable ways. Some of my favourite spelling reform ideas to hate are removing the letter C. What are we supposed to do about the digraph CH then, I wonder? And if we just replace the C in words like lace and face with S, they'll read lays and fays. Removing the letter X. Tax looks like it's the plural of a singular noun. Merging WH with W. This might not be a phonetic distinction in your dialect of English, but it is in some others. Removing double letters. You'll only make vowel length more obscure than it already is. And getting rid of silent letters, because sometimes those silent letters can tell you what a word will sound like in a different form. You don't say phlegmatic, you say phlegmatic. Even with ideas that would actually be quite good in a vacuum, like bringing back eth and thorn, or spelling the voice dental fricative dh to distinguish it from th, replacing j sounding g's with j's, sorting out whatever this thing is supposed to be, completely redoing the vowel system, that is never going to be implemented. And this has led another group of people to loudly complain about the very idea of spelling reforms, and telling us all about how they'll never happen. But spelling reforms have happened. So what about when spelling reforms work? In 1996, some professional opinion havers from all over the German-speaking world got together and decided to have some opinions together about German orthography. In 2006, they got together again to have some more opinions, where they basically backtracked on some of the more extreme opinions they'd had 10 years earlier. The goal was to make German writing easier to learn, more intuitive, and easier to read from sight alone. Did these opinion havers succeed? In my opinion, they did. Let's take a look at those changes. They focused a lot on individual words, cleaning up spellings like Rau or Stängel, getting rid of weird silent letters in some words, making other words more etymologically sound, in this case since Stängel comes from the root Stange. One of the bigger changes was to do with this letter here. This is the Eszett, or scharfes S, and I've heard it described as just a double S, but this isn't really true. This letter comes from the SZ digraph that used to exist, and it makes a S sound, but acts slightly differently from both a single or double S. To understand why this letter is in German, we need to understand two things about German orthography. 1. Double consonants mean short vowels. This is a rule that exists in English as well, but it's a lot more consistent in German. Let's take a look at these two words. Orphan and often. Because this is a single F, this or, the vowel before it, becomes long. Orphan. On the other hand, this double F here makes the vowel before it a short O sound. Often. 2. In German, the letter S sucks and it's bad. That might be a bit unfair, but hear me out. S is very irregular and can make both the S sound and its voiced equivalent, Z, in different contexts. More importantly, intervocalically, that is, between two vowels, S always makes a voiced Z sound, like in Hose or Rosa. But a double S always makes the unvoiced sound, S. So let's take a word like Massen. This means masses of, or loads. Because of this double S, this is a short A, and the consonant sound is a soft S. Massen. But what if we wanted to spell a word like Maßen, meaning in moderation? Well, we need a single letter so that the vowel sound becomes long, like in the often distinction. But we can't spell it like this, because that intervocalic S becomes voiced. This reads Maßen, which is not what we want. That's where the Eszett comes in. We spell it like this. So we have a single letter, meaning a long ah sound here, and a definite unvoiced s sound. In the old German orthography, the Eszett was used slightly irregularly. One-syllable words like das were spelled like this, making them look like das, when they're actually pronounced thus. The spelling reform tidied these up along with other words like muss, so that pronouncing these became more intuitive. Today, this spelling reform has been used for over a decade in all the major German-speaking countries, with the old spellings now considered incorrect. Almost all major newspapers have switched over to the new system, and everyone in the current education system, or learning German as a second language, spells das with a double S. Introducing a spelling reform is possible, with a short transition period where both spellings are considered correct, and then a full switch over to the new system. But what makes a spelling reform good? I've come up with 4 main criteria. 1. Expand upon pre-existing orthographical rules. The double S-Eszett distinction already existed in German orthography. They just made this rule apply to one-syllable words as well as multiple-syllable ones. 2. People who grew up with the old orthography have to be able to read the new orthography easily. Basically, changes can't be too radical. 3. People who grew up with the new orthography have to be able to read the old orthography. And, well, I've read texts published before the spelling reform without much difficulty. It's mostly a case of going, that's a weird spelling, and moving on. 4. It's got to make spelling and meaning less ambiguous, not more. So, for English, no getting rid of C's or X's. So, how can this be applied to English? Well, let me make a simple suggestion for improving English orthography, and the British government is fully welcome to take this on board and start teaching this in schools as soon as they want. Let's make double letters in the middle of words more regular, like they are in German. There's no reason intervocalic should be spelt with a single L. It looks like intervocalic or intervocalic. Spell it like this instead. If eloping is spelt with a single P, then developing should be pronounced developing. So, developing and developed with 2 P's it is. Isn't that so much nicer already? So, don't be scared of spelling reforms, and since there's no English Academy to stop us, let's take a leaf out of the German's book, and start spelling developing the right way with a double P.